Hi, I just wanted to bit of a catch up over what's been happening over the last few days, and because I just got really annoyed. A few things maybe to speak about. Um, COP29. Let's start there. So, 300 billion they've agreed finally after loads of delegates walked out because it wasn't sufficient to put into the loss and damages fund to help the countries worst impacted by climate breakdown. It's not enough money, is it? They asked for 500 billion, but it got whittled away. They probably need over a trillion. They need far more than that overall. These countries are in the grip of climate breakdown already, and it's going to get worse and worse. Fail, COP fail. COP29 we're on. About 28 other COPs, and they've all been bollocks, really. There might be quite a lot of swearing in this, by the way. So yeah, 29 COPs, and emissions are still going up. They can barely even say the words oil and gas when they're discussing or writing up the agreements from COP. They seem to get vetoed. Politicians just completely failing ordinary people. What was it George Monbiot said a few days? We're a nation of altruistic people run by psychopaths. And I think that's what we've got, isn't it? The people in power are psychopaths, whether that be in big business, like a lot of execs have very psychopathic tendencies. Especially in the oil and gas industry, but also politicians. I mean, look at the previous 6 Tory leaders, for God's sake, and a lot of the cabinet. And I'm not sure Labour. Well, let's see what happens there. Politics failing, and then we had the floods in Valencia, the floods in Wales today due to Storm Bert. I was watching film earlier of, was it Tenby Wells or something like that? Can't remember the exact name of the town, sorry. And there was water flowing up the high street, getting higher and higher, and people had to flee, basically. So climate breakdown is happening, and it's going to get worse and worse. The floods, the wildfires, the harvest failures. We've had the worst harvest on record in Norfolk, where I live. Farmers can't graze livestock sometimes, let alone plant crops. And it looks like that's just going to repeat itself over and over again. And yet politicians can't get their frigging act together and agree internationally to rapidly cut emissions. We do need an international fossil fuel treaty to stop the burning of an extraction of fossil fuels as soon as possible. I think 2030 is probably a good date to aim for. And we need to be properly funding the countries worst impacted by climate breakdown, to the tune of trillions, not billions. Fossil fuel companies, the BP, etc., Exxon, make trillions of dollars, and they can't afford to. And there's my cat. Oh dear, he wants to get involved. Thanks very much, Gideon. Well, I'm not doing this again, so we're just going to carry on. He's over there now. Brilliant. There he is behind me. Cat interruption. So yeah, fossil fuel companies make trillions and trillions of pounds, and yet we can't fund people that are most vulnerable to climate breakdown. Complete COP failure. Yeah, and I've lost my train of thought because of the cat invasion. I think I talked about Valencia, Wales, and the flooding, and I'm worried that this is going to happen again and again. And people in Valencia and people in Wales are right to say politicians are failing us, because they are. They're not doing what's necessary. And then I see a petition online, which has got over 1.5 million signatures now. It's going up like thousands of signatures every half an hour or something, calling for a general election. I think it's a Tory voter who's obviously upset about some of the stuff that's come in recently, calling for a general election. And the number of signatures on this petition is rocketing. And the right-wing propaganda machine are so good at it. They stoke people's fears. They blame people. It's what happened in the 1920s, 1930s. It happened in Germany, and it seems to be happening now here with reform. They're stoking people's fears. They're giving people somebody to blame. Blame the migrants. They're refugees. They're human beings. For God's sake, can't we treat them like human beings? They're often fleeing far worse places. So, yeah, Reform have really jumped on that bandwagon. I can see it with Rupert Lowe in Great Yarmouth all the time. He blames migrants every day on his Facebook page for some reason. And then you've got the obviously farmers' inheritance tax, where things have got twisted. You've got the scare stories about food security and solar panels. Give me a break. We've got plenty of land for solar panels. Well, we should be putting them on every building, maybe central reservations, the banks of roads, for starters. But we have land where we can put solar panels on. We're not going to... Food security is not going to be damaged by solar panels, for God's sake. They will improve food security, because we might just get less extreme weather, you numpties. Oh, so annoying. Okay, if you don't want solar panels, let's not have electricity then. We know we need renewable energy, and we need to insulate our houses properly, and we need to get on with it far more quickly than we have been doing. So that's a must. But of course, it all gets muddied all the time by the likes of Reform, by Tory politicians, even by Labour politicians, because this carbon capture and storage is a load of crap. That's not proven at scale. And actually, the LNG, the liquefied natural gas, that will be used to create the electricity, the emissions from that's massive, and the carbon capture and storage just won't really help. It's just, why aren't they investing in renewables, like, rather than burning fossil fuels? Oh, I tell you why. Because of lobbyists and the money in the fossil fuel industry, and they want to keep that dying industry going for as long as possible, and squeeze every last drop of cash out of us, while simultaneously squeezing the life out of us. Can't we see that? Are we that stupid? Well, we're not all, there are people trying to take action, but they're getting frigging locked up by these corrupt motherfucker politicians who create laws to lock up my friends in prison for sounding the alarm on the climate breakdown. I mean, Jesus. So you've got fossil fuel companies that are literally burning the world, politicians that are failing to prepare for flooding. You're not locking them up, you're locking up the people raising the alarm. Meanwhile, the farmers can march through central London. By the way, I do have sympathy with farmers. They have a really hard life. They've had subsidies cut. It's very difficult, especially when a lot of your cash is locked up in assets. But they can march through London with impunity. Anyway, it's not really a comparison. It's good that they could protest, actually. It was good that they could protest, because actually the right to protest has been seriously impinged in this country by successive law changes by the Tory government. Police crime sentencing courts bill and public order bill that resulted in my friend Noah, with Just Stop Oil, is now on remand in prison, has been for the last 3 months. His trial isn't until February. He's done nothing, and yet he's locked up. I mean, what's the point in that? The same with the other 24, 25, let's call them political prisoners, or prisoners of conscience if you want. They're not harming anyone in their actions. They're doing the opposite. They're trying to save life, and yet our fucking corrupt politicians have created laws to lock them up in jail. Yeah, legal laws can be legal laws. Laws can be legal, but they can be bloody immoral as well. I know the UN had concerns about it. So anyway, we had COP failures. We've got Wales flooding, Valencia flooding, wildfires, sea level rise. North Broads, where I am, is under threat because of flooding. Might sink. Same with vulnerable villages. And politicians just don't get it. Even some of the good ones, like Steph Aquarone, he's Lib Dem up in North Norfolk. He's not bad. Far better than bloody Rupert Lowe with his lies and misdirection and right-wing propaganda. Blame it on the migrants. At least Steph gets the climate breakdown and is trying to take action on it. Jerome Mayhew, my MP, doesn't do anyway. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there. But even Steph Aquarone is saying that carbon capture and storage is solutions. He doesn't get it. These people need to really be talking to scientists, I think. But the point is, politics is failing us across the board. It's not working, is it? It's getting worse and worse. It was -3 the other day, and it was 18 degrees C plus today. Those sort of temporary variations are going to create these extreme weather patterns that we keep seeing. Oh God, this is turning into a long rant. And then I see this petition, that's got over 1.5 million signatures in a few days, and it's still growing at thousands of signatures every half an hour or something. It's going viral, and the right-wing propaganda machine has jumped on it. They're very effective. They're pushing it out there, that again with, you know, misdirection and lies to get people to sign, stoking that fear, stoking someone to blame. 1920s, 1930s Germany. And these people, they're taking action. They are active. They're doing stuff. Whereas the majority of sensible people seem perfectly content to sit at home. They'll go, oh yeah, isn't it terrible? Oh, well done those of you taking action. Thanks for doing that. Your cause is really good. It's not our frigging cause. It's climate collapse. It's going to be the loss of everything that we hold dear. My niece and nephew are, what, 11 and 13 now? I might have got that wrong. No, it's 11 and 13. My goddaughter is turned 14 the other day. I'm 49. 50 next year, big milestone. Going to try and go to Folk in the Field if it's not flooded. I don't know if they get to my age. Honestly, it's horrible to even think about. But food security, not because of solar panels, but because of floods and fires and soil being washed away. What's going to happen? And these plans that politicians are putting in place are rubbish. But yeah, back to the point. A lot of my friends, they're lovely people. They genuinely care, but they don't do anything. And they go, oh, isn't it terrible that Reform are doing this? Oh, isn't it terrible that petition's got loads of signatures? Isn't it terrible about climate breakdown? Oh, where are you going on holiday this year? Oh, what's your kid going to be when he grows up? Your kid isn't going to fucking grow up unless you do something. Are we seriously going to let the right wing, Reform and the likes, not just in this country, but in other countries as well, dictate our futures, sideline action on climate breakdown? Are you seriously going to sit at home and lead it to a few people like Noah, who's 19 and in prison, I mentioned earlier, to actually try and take action? Because I tell you what, we can't do it on our own. We know civil disobedience, civil resistance works. It worked with civil rights, it worked with LGBTQ+, it worked with disabled people. You want to go back to suffragettes, you can do. It's the only way to bring about significant change. We need to be getting out on the streets despite the risks and doing something. We can't just sit at home signing frigging petitions or writing letters that get ignored. Are you really going to leave it to just a few people to take action? Because I've had enough of it. I really have. People saying, oh yeah, we get it, it's really bad, yeah. And then you do fuck all and you talk about how great the future's going to be for your kids, or, you know, how excited you are about it, and they haven't got a future. It's so frustrating. Sorry, I'm really sweary, but I'm really angry. But it is coming from a place of love. It really is, because I love my friends and my family. I want something to happen about it. I don't want us to be dictated to by politicians, corrupt politicians and business leaders anymore, about people that are basically looking after their own interests, or influenced by lobbyists, or so trapped in that Westminster bubble they just don't fucking get it. So yeah, that's my rant today, supported by Gideon, who now has gone to sleep, which is helpful. But if you could do something, that would be good. I don't know, join Greenpeace, join Extinction Rebellion. You could join Just Stop Oil. I'm a member of Just Stop Oil. You might hate us, but we do actually raise the alarm on stuff. They have stopped all new oil and gas licensing in the North Sea as a result, partially due to our actions, you know, raising the alarm on it. Same with Insulate Britain. You might have hated them, but look at every political party calling for the insulation of homes now. Direct action does work, even though we get absolutely slated for in the right-wing press. Oh, who controls the right-wing press? Billionaires control the right-wing press. Rupert Murdoch. So of course they don't want to, of course they're going to demonize us. I best I'm asking, from a place of love, get a grip, people. Your future, your kids' futures, our futures are on the line here. Please, please, can you do something? Thanks very much.